let's hope this goes well. But anyways, hey guys, my name is Virus, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna be taking a look at some German destroyers. Now you might be sitting here thinking, this isn't a destroyer, this isn't live gameplay, this is a replay file. Yeah, I mean, guys, I've been struggling to get some good gameplay on the destroyers. It's just not fun to me. It might come to a surprise to hear that, but honestly, destroyers just don't seem that fun to me. They're really slow, they're really bulky, and we just got one shot by a destroyer in our tiny little, what's it called? S-38? I forget. But yeah, so today I'm gonna try and do a little bit of a post-commentary kind of thingy with the destroyers using a replay file that I have on my computer. And I want to talk about why I find destroyers so boring. Now, during this replay, I just want to state that you will not be able to see me correcting the shooting distance. I was doing it when I was actually playing, but because replays work a bit weird, you won't be able to see me doing that. So the ranging will just stay the same. But trust me, guys, I was ranging in the battle, and that you'll see that because I actually managed to hit some of the targets. But yeah, so on to actual destroyer gameplay. Now, the ship I'm taking out today is the Kanonenboot K-2, I believe it's called. I probably butchered it, but it's basically a destroyer, or in the game it's classified as a gunboat, that only has a high explosive shell. It's a 120mm high explosive shell, if I recall correctly, but it does more damage than the normal 128 and 105 high explosive shells that you get on the other two destroyers that come before this. So it's honestly worked its way up the ranks in my sort of preferred boat gameplay sort of ship. Basically, it's one of my favorites, and there's just something about these high explosive shells that just make it so satisfying to use. I don't really know. I personally believe that APCBC in your destroyers is the best bet if you want to try and get those one shots, because high explosive does struggle against ammunition when you're facing another enemy destroyer. And I honestly, when I saw this guy just disappear in front of me, I had no clue what happened. I don't know if he pops back up in the future, but he just disappeared out of nowhere. But yeah, so we switched targets to this other guy, and if you look at when I actually managed to hit some of these ships, you'll just see the crew percentage just absolutely drop and get destroyed as soon as one of these high explosive shells hits the ship. And that's honestly why I've sort of fallen in love with this ship. The high explosive shells do so much damage, it absolutely obliterates crew, and I don't know, it seems more effective than the other destroyers that I currently have in my lineup, because obviously you have the destroyer, I forget what they're called, excuse me, that have the 105s and the 128s, but the 128 only has 3, and then the 105, I think it has 5 of them, or 5 or 4, but they just don't do enough damage. And then you switch to this thing, and you're like destroying 10-20% of a ship's crew in one salvo. And while the reload is pretty slow, so you're not slinging these rounds at any record rates or anything like that, it's still quite a potent amount of firepower. Like, it does what it needs to do, and it does it pretty well in my opinion. Now here you're seeing some pretty poor marksmanship. For some reason I could not get the ranging on this guy. He kept switching back and forth, going forward and backwards, and it was actually really throwing off my aim. But as you can see, we hit that guy, and we already blacked out a compartment and damaged a lot of like the ship around him. And he's at 31% crew right now, and we're finally starting to land some hits on him. So I'm just trying to lead, and he's down to 8% crew. He went from 31% to 8% with one salvo from that, and we even blacked out one of his compartments. So another thing that I really do like about this ship, and it's kind of a downside, but at the same time it really sort of catches some people off guard, and it's its speed. While I'm not a fan of how slow it goes, it really does sort of, like, people are used to, when they're playing this game, fast destroyers or relatively quick destroyers that are moving around a lot, and this thing does not do that as we pick off that guy. It's very slow. It's not able to move around the battlefield very quick. But I mean, in a way, it's kind of a good thing because I feel like this thing booking it around at 60 kilometers an hour would kind of be a little bit broken just because of the just pure firepower this thing breaks out. But as you can see, we're just landing hits on the center mass of these ships. Now, he is angled in, and one thing that really surprised me when I was actually shooting at this guy was that my high explosive shells would bounce off of him. And when I'm used to tank high explosive shells that rarely ever bounce, and then you go to ship high explosive where you think a 120 millimeter high explosive shell coming down at a certain angle would ricochet, you know, it really just caught me off guard. But at the same time, you still do a lot of damage with the other shells. Now, there is a huge downside to this ship. Again, I'm going to go over that. And it's the fact that it only has 2 gun turrets. Now, it does have 4 guns, but they're each in the 2 turrets. So each turret has 2 actual like cannons, I guess you could say. So if you lose one of those turrets, you lose 50% of your total damage output. And these guns are pretty accurate. They're not like crazy good, but as you can see, the dispersion is alright. I don't know if they're completely upgraded. I'm not entirely sure, but like they're accurate enough. Like there's a good salvo. Those shells are basically going to converge on like each other, and we take out the crew and that guy too. So this thing is just really good at taking out crew, and obviously because it is high explosive, it's going to be naturally good at that. Now we spot another destroyer on the high seas here. It looks like it's one of those, I think it's the first German destroyer that you can actually unlock. And we get, right away, a nice big hit on the front of his ship and take him down to 57% crew. Now, I'm not entirely sure what he was at before that, but I'm assuming that we just took out a huge chunk and 45%. Like, these shells are actually just so much fun to use. I highly recommend trying this thing out. The speed might deter some of you, and like maybe not having an APCBC round might be a bit of a disadvantage compared to other ships. But honestly, this thing, when you hit a ship, we just took him from, what, I think he was at 40% down to 9% crew. Like, this thing is good. And I think we have him here. I think he should be dead. Yeah, there we go. Take out all of his crew. He's done for. And then we just switch to the next target. And so, you basically just absolutely obliterate other destroyers. And for some reason, they also weren't shooting at me this match. Not entirely sure why that was, but obviously this thing isn't invincible, and you can see in the bottom left, while the icon was kind of small in the replay file, you can see that we're starting to sustain quite a lot of damage. So I know that my time is limited in this thing. I know I'm not going to survive very long, so I'm just trying to do as much damage to these guys as I can so that when I come back in my next destroyer, because keep in mind, we've only taken out 2 ships, I still have one more spawn left before, you know, this game is over for me, and I, you know, I'm forced to take out a plane or something like that. So I'm just trying to do as much damage as I can and cripple these ships, maybe take out a couple gun turrets. This guy's angling in, we set him on fire, take out 2 compartments, take him down to 22% crew, and now we just have to kill those last little chunk of crew members there, and then kill them. Now, obviously, when you saturate the front of a ship, you're not going to kill the crew in it. So I'm hitting the front of the ship, but unfortunately, we're just, you know, we're not able to get the back of the ship. I do land a shell a little bit behind it, so the splash does, I think, take out a couple of crew. And I'm adjusting now. We're still hitting the front, but we're getting closer, and I'm just trying to hit that midsection. If we can get one good hit on that midsection, we should be able to take him out. But we just keep planting shells into the front. Now, we did take out his gun turret, so there's not much he can do when it comes to returning fire. There we go. We get a sort of good hit in the midsection of the bridge area, so we're taking out more crew. And we just keep on pumping out shells, and as you can see there, a high explosive shell bounces off the side of his armor. And yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It really, when that happened, it caught me off guard. And we actually detonate that guy's ammunition there. I was not expecting that to happen. I rarely ever detonate ammo with this ship, just because it is a high explosive round. And while I do find that APCBC and like explosive filler rounds are a lot better at taking out ammunition than high explosive, you still can do it, but like I didn't expect that at all. But I guess when you pump around 20 shells into the front compartment of a ship, you're gonna eventually take out the ammunition. So in ships, I've also found that aiming for the turrets And especially when you see another ship like you, and you know just how weak the ship is without any front turrets, it really starts to become sort of almost a priority, I guess you could say. So here, I take out his front turret. Now, if I was taking this, if I was to do this again, I'd probably aim for the back turret. I think I start to do that here. And so, we take out his back turret, and now, what's that guy gonna do? There's nothing he can do. We can just lay into that guy. Absolutely helpless, and we take him out with, not too many salvos. Now, here, once again, like I said, we're pretty damaged. We've taken quite a few shells, and I don't expect to survive very much longer. This guy is pumping a whole bunch of 128s into the side of my ship. I know my days are limited, and so I'm just trying to get as much damage as I can before we get taken out here. Can we get a couple more salvos off? I fix the flooding or whatever, and we get taken out. But 5 kills in 1 life in this thing is actually very, very good. Especially with just how slow and not very maneuverable you are in that ship. So I have 1 more left. I still have 1 more spawn. I'm still able to have an impact. I'm hoping my team can maybe capture B before the battle ends. And so I don't want to catch this guy's attention. I don't want him to know I'm here until I have all of my gun turrets turned. So I just wait. Just keep waiting and waiting, and they're getting there. They're so slow. And they're finally on target, and I should aim in here, and we take our first pot shot at this guy after the ranging comes in. Now, when you're this far away, when you're around 5 kilometers out, you're really not going to hit these guys very reliably. You can try and get the ranging down, but unless they aren't maneuvering, it's going to be quite hard. And luckily for me, this guy's just driving in a straight line, so I just have to straddle him enough to learn, where I need to put my shooting distance correction or whatever before I actually manage to take him out. And we're starting to get some hits on him. I'm starting to get the ranging down here, and he is returning fire, but he's not really maneuvering. I'm sort of shaking back and forth, and then he turns full broadside, giving me that nice juicy target, and I definitely am going to take advantage of that. I start pumping 128s into him, and we're still trying to sort of get the ranging. Obviously, you have to adjust because he's not firing, or he's not sailing, directly at you, so you don't really have that speed and ranging. So I did have to adjust there, but we get a nice hit into his midsection, set him on fire, hit his fuel tanks, and at this point, he's pretty much dead. There's not much he can do. He hasn't even really touched us, and we've just been laying into him. His crew slowly going down. He does manage to hit us there. Does a little bit of damage to I believe our fuel tanks. We set him on fire again. There's just smoke flying out of his smokestacks, and let's just say his days are limited. There's not much he can do, and that's pretty much what destroyer gameplay is. Now, you might be thinking, well, this was kind of boring, or, well, you might be. There's no guarantee that you are. But you might be thinking to yourself, well, this was kind of boring. I mean, you didn't really edit. You didn't do any, it doesn't look like you put any work into this video, and technically that's true. I didn't even chop up any of the boring bits, and as you can see here, we are listing to the side. We need to fix that flooding. But yeah, you might be thinking, this is pretty boring. Like, why did you show us this? And I just wanted to show you guys what it's like to be, playing destroyers. It's not really hectic. Most of the time, you don't see very many, like, patrol boats or anything to absolutely shred them. And it's mostly just shooting long-range fire at enemy destroyers. And there's just something about that isn't fun. Like, down in the low tiers, say, with the flak barge, as broken as that thing is, you're used to getting lots and lots of kills, lots of damage, really feeling like you have a role in the battle. But for me, when you're playing destroyers like this, I don't know, it just kind of seems pretty boring. But we're getting to the end here. I believe a plane comes and bombs us in a second. But really, I just kind of felt like, putting my opinion out there on ships, and why this video sort of took so long to come out. I really didn't know how I wanted to actually approach it and what I should have done for this video. So I decided, you know what, let's do a replay file, and we'll show you exactly what it's like to play a destroyer. But hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video on the German destroyers. I know it was probably extremely boring. I don't expect you guys to like it, but at the same time, you know, I just wanted to show you why I don't really want to post too much destroyer gameplay on the channel. I'll probably stick with like the hydrofoil boats and the boats that are really, really cool and get stuck into some damage. I might still be doing those, and I'm also going to try out some different tech trees. I've been grinding out the Russian tech tree. As painful as that's been, I've been able to get up to the 1.7, and I almost have up to 2.0 for the Russians, but that'll be for another video. It's probably going to be my next naval video, actually. Just showing off what you can expect with the Russian videos, or ships, I should say. Now, for the guys who have made it this long into the video, I just want to say thank you so much for watching into this, or this long. You guys are the best. I've recently passed 1,000 subscribers. Obviously, that happened last week, but it's still sort of sitting in the back of my mind, blowing my mind every day. You know, like, just the fact that 1,000 of you guys want to see my videos and want to watch me play this game, and I'm not even good. Like, you want to watch some trash player play Warfare. I don't know. It's really humbling to hear that and see all of the support you guys give. So I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, humongous thank you to all of you who like and subscribe and leave comments. I love reading them, and even if I don't heart your comment, doesn't mean I don't look at it and I read it and I think and chuckle to myself. But yeah, I just want to say another thing. Battlefield 5 is coming out soon, and you guys might not know, but I am a huge Battlefield fan. I've always loved Battlefield, so if that's your thing, you can luckily expect some Battlefield gameplay coming. I have been talking to Slickbee, and we might be doing a collab in Battlefield, maybe. Not saying that it's 100% true, but I'm trying to work it out here. Maybe we can get some gameplay with him. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video on the warships of War Thunder. Sorry, I had a brain fart there. If you did, leave a like on the video. I really appreciate it. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button as well, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
On my grind, no nigga on